Welcome to my first YouTube video on Daphne's book club. Thank you so much for joining me. This channel is just me going to be reading some of my favorites. This particular one I haven't read through yet, so you and I will be going on this journey together. But I do tend to gravitate towards books on spiritual matters. So this one is the Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Should be an exciting journey. I've heard many great things, of course, about this book. It's akin to the Bible for Hinduism, a lot of people say. So it'll be a very exciting journey to go on. Thanks for joining me. Please like, subscribe, comment any other books you'd like to see me read. And fair warning, I am not familiar with the Sanskrit language, so please forgive some of my mispronunciations if they may occur. But without further ado, the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We're starting off with one of the introductions, not written by His Divine Grace, but written by the publishers of the book. It's called Setting the Scene. Although widely published and read by itself, the Bhagavad Gita originally appears as an episode in the Mahabharata, the epic Sanskrit history of the ancient world. The Mahabharata tells of events leading up to the present age of Kali. It was at the beginning of this age, some 50 centuries ago, that Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to his friend and devotee Arjuna. Their discourse, one of the greatest philosophical and religious dialogues known to man, took place just before the onset of war. A great fratricidal divide between the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra and on the opposing side their cousins, the Pandavas, or sons of Pandu. Dhritarashtra and Pandu were brothers born in the Kuru dynasty, descending from King Bharata, a former ruler of the earth, from whom the name Mahabharata derives. Because Dhritarashtra, the elder brother, was born blind, the throne that otherwise would have been his was passed down to the younger brother Pandu. When Pandu died at an early age, his 5 children, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, came under the care of Dhritarashtra, who in effect became, for the time being, the king. Thus the sons of Dhritarashtra and those of Pandu grew up in the same royal household. Both were trained in the military arts by the expert Drona and counseled by the revered grandfather of the clan, Bhisma. Yet the sons of Dhritarashtra, especially the eldest, Duryodhana, hated and envied the Pandavas, and the blind and weak-minded Dhritarashtra wanted his own sons, not those of Pandu, to inherit the kingdom. Thus Duryodhana, with Dhritarashtra's consent, plotted to kill the young sons of Pandu, and it was only by the careful protection of their uncle Vidura and their cousin, Lord Krishna, that the Pandavas escaped the many attempts against their lives. Now, Lord Krishna was not an ordinary man, but the supreme Godhead himself, who had descended to earth and was playing the role of a prince in a contemporary dynasty. In this role, he was also the nephew of Pandu's wife Kunti, or Perta, the mother of the Pandavas. So both as a relative and as the eternal upholder of religion, Krishna favored the righteous sons of Pandu and protected them. Ultimately, however, the clever Duryodhana challenged the Pandavas to a gambling match. In the course of the fateful tournament, Duryodhana and his brothers took possession of Draupadi, the chaste and devoted wife of the Pandavas, and insultingly tried to strip her naked before the entire assembly of princes and kings. Krishna's divine intervention saved her, but the gambling, which was rigged, cheated the Pandavas of their kingdom and forced them into 13 years of exile. Upon returning from exile, the Pandavas rightfully requested their kingdom from Duryodhana, who bluntly refused to yield it. Duty-bound as princes to serve in public administration, the 5 Pandavas reduced their request to a mere 5 villages, but Duryodhana arrogantly replied that he wouldn't spare them enough land into which to drive a pin. Throughout all this, The Pandavas had been consistently tolerant and forbearing, but now war seemed inevitable. Nonetheless, as the princes of the world divided, some siding with the sons of Dhritarashtra, others with the Pandavas, Krishna himself took the role of messenger for the sons of Pandu and went to the court of Dhritarashtra to plead for peace. When his pleas were refused, war was now certain. The Pandavas, men of the highest moral stature, recognized Krishna to be the supreme personality of Godhead, whereas the impious sons of Dhritarashtra did not. Yet Krishna offered to enter the war according to the desire of the antagonists. As God, he would not personally fight, but whoever so desired might avail himself of Krishna's army, and the other side would have Krishna himself as an advisor and helper. Duryodhana, a political genius, snatched at Krishna's armed forces, while the Pandavas were equally eager to have Krishna himself. In this way, Krishna became the charioteer of Arjuna, taking it upon himself to drive the fabled bowman's chariot. This brings us to the point at which the Bhagavad Gita begins, with the two armies arrayed, ready for combat, and Dhritarashtra anxiously inquiring of his secretary Sanjaya, what did they do? The scene is set, with only the need for a brief note regarding this translation and commentary. The general pattern translators have followed in rendering the Bhagavad Gita into English has been to brush aside the person Krishna to make room for their own concepts and philosophies. The history of the Mahabharata is taken as quaint mythology, and Krishna becomes a poetic device for presenting the ideas of some anonymous genius, or at best he becomes a minor historical personage. But the person Krishna is both the goal and the substance of the Bhagavad Gita, so far as the Gita speaks of itself. This translation, then, and the commentary that accompanies it, propose to direct the reader to Krishna rather than away from him. The Bhagavad Gita thus becomes wholly consistent and comprehensible. Since Krishna is the speaker of the Gita and its ultimate goal as well, Bhagavad Gita as it is presents this great scripture in its true terms. The publishers.